The Masonic G has remained a mystery. I've tried to break it a few times and I have not been able to do so until now. I've actually finally busted it, and I resorted to prayer because I just couldn't figure it out. So I just said, Lord, please, you know, if it's your will, can I know what it means? And within minutes I had my answer. It was so obvious too, I could have kicked myself. This here is just a representation of the numeral 1000, which in Greek is called HELIUS, and that's the name of Apollyon, the beast from the pit, from the book of Revelation. Just to prove the point to you, if we look at the English G, it's this. There, it's just, that's what you know as a G. But in Greek, the letter that's used for G is the letter that you know as an English K. That is the Greek G. And all that they've done here is transpose it from Greek to English. So if we look at this as a K shape, all right, which is also a rotated Roman numeral for 5000, that's an underlined V, which is HELIUS 5 times. Okay, now we're starting to get there. In English you would say, for instance, kilo. A kilo is a measurement of thousands. In Greek you would say gilo, gilo. Okay, so the pronunciation is with the G letter, and in English it's pronounced with the K letter. For instance, how much? What are your wages a year? Do you get 10k a year? 16k a year, 20k a year? It's thousands. You see, same with the values of your house and so forth. You'll see k at the end of it. So it's a measurement of thousands, same as kilometres on your car. And this here is basically the letter K, well, the letter G in Greek, which is the K that you know, which means kilo or gilo, which is 1,000. A measurement of 1,000. So the G is simply the name HELIUS. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just also going to apply that to one of the main Masonic logos, and show you that the rest of the cryptography in there also is just all about his name. This one here, you've probably seen this one. It's rather famous, and it's been used by a lot of so-called conspiracy theorists in their videos. Now, remember, the G, there's the G there, okay, is simply a measurement of 1,000, a kilo or a kilo, okay? So that says HELIUS. So what about the rest of it? Well, we've got a sun at the very top, okay? So that's your next HELIUS. In Greek, you would call the sun Io, Ion, Eos, Ilios. All of these names are names of the sun. Okay, so here we've got this again. You can call it Halios too, which is a more Roman term. So there's another sun. That's a HELIUS, the G. The sun is a HELIUS. We've got this this I here, okay, which is basically the Roman numerals CIC with the final C inverted, and it looks like an I. And that was an original Roman numeral for 1,000. So that's your so-called I. That's also HELIUS. Now we've got this triangle which has been used as an A, and the sun behind it as an O. So it says AO, which is also the name of Apollyon. Next we've got an X here, which is EO, sun again, and an X here, which is EO, sun again. Next we have this laurel here. Now this laurel here, you'll kick yourselves when I show you this, because it's so obvious what it is once you just look at it a little bit closer. If you look at the bottom of the laurel, what is it? It's an X, isn't it? So it's a 10, an EO. So where you see the laurel, you know that this is a depiction of the X. I'll come back to this in just one moment. So let's just look at this now. Here it goes, look. It's an X, an EO. And the same here with the twigs crossing over. EO and EO again. So it's got another 3 EOs there. So all of this is saying sun, 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 sun. So we've got here this handshake as well. I would go as far as to say that this handshake there would also mean the same thing and would have some kind of value again, which pertains straight back to Halios, as most of the, or just about all of the hand signs do, as we're finding out now. Now let's move on to something else now. Let's move on to the laurel. You'll find the laurel on many Masonic stroke pagan symbolisms, and of course we've got it here being worn by Caesar. He's got the laurel around his head, and don't forget the other end of this forms an X, like this here. You see at the bottom there's the X, and there's the laurel or halo, if you like, yeah? And this is supposed to be a hook for hanging it, but none the same, it does actually have the X and the O, which is the Greek letter Chi, which is pronounced he, it's the Greek H, and the O, alright? So that there, if you put the X inside the O, it becomes the Roman numeral 1000, HELIUS. So the laurel says HELIUS, and when it's on someone's head, let's just take a look at the United Nations logo, and we'll just imagine that this is a bird's eye view of someone's head, and they're wearing the laurel, yeah? They would have this on the back of their head. But if you just turn it around, it becomes an X on their forehead. That's a mark of the beast, because that's the Roman numeral for the number 10. And Roman numerals are letters as well as numbers, so it says EO, which means sun, the mark of the beast on the forehead. Very interesting. And so we know that all of the Caesars and all of the other people that were awarded this laurel there were being awarded the mark on their head, albeit it was reversed to hide the fact that it's a mark symbolically on the forehead, because they just twist it around. And it is, of course, also a halo. And these symbols are used throughout all of our lives. Everywhere in the world you will find these symbols being used by governments and also by terrorist organisations. That doesn't make any sense why they would both be using pagan symbols. It's also used by street gangs and all forms of other troublemakers like hate groups and so forth. They all use pagan symbolisms. If you look at the National Front, for instance, they use pagan symbolism. So does Hamas, so does the IRA. Every single terrorist organisation uses these pagan symbols, and so do all the governments. A bit dodgy, I would say. And now, just to show you the ridiculous depths and lengths that these people go to use the name of Halios, we're going to look at these two lovable characters, Laurel and Hardy, a pair of devil worshippers. Obviously, you might think to yourself, oh, come on, Laurel and Hardy. Just let me pull you back into reality here. Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy were professional actors. It was their profession. And they are incredibly famous, even though they're now both dead. Professional actors in the mainstream media. To be in the mainstream media, you must be a pagan stroke Mason. Same thing. Remember, it's this worldwide religious cult that runs the entire world. Now, here they are, and they've got triangles inside circles on their hats, which is saucer shaped. And here, Oliver Hardy is pointing upwards with his index finger, and the index finger point in palmistry is the finger of Zeus. So here they've got these symbols of Halios here, saying pyramid, the A, and the O saying Ao, which is the name of Apollyon, and here Oliver Hardy is making the finger of Zeus. Now, there's something very interesting here with regards to their names, which further proves the fact that they were in fact pagan Satanists, and that the people who made these movies for them, which they acted in, are also pagan Satanists. And that is their names. Let's just take a look at the names of Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. First, let's look at the name of Oliver Hardy. Let's just take his initials. What he has as his initials is this. It's O and H. Yeah. Now remember, when we're breaking pagan Masonic symbolisms, we're using a mixture of Greek and Roman. Okay, so it's mostly Greek words and letters, and Roman numerals and letters. Okay, so here, for instance, there's OH. Let's transpose the H into the Greek H, which is what you call the letter X in English, okay? So that says och, or if you read it in English, it would say ox, okay? So let's just reverse that now, so that we've got it the other way around, which is what these pagans do in their cryptography. It's quite clever, but it's also quite easy to break. It now says ho, okay? As in Santa Claus saying ho, ho, ho. Remember, if you place the what you call the X there inside the circle, it becomes the Roman numeral for 1000, and it's also the pagan cross if you just rotate it a little bit, okay? So that says ho, okay? As in perhaps an expression of sorrow, like this. That's also appropriate here in this context. And in the Bible it says that an eagle flew through the sky saying woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Was it woe if we transposed it into sort of like a Greek expression like ho, yeah, 3 times? Isn't that the name of Helios 3 times? That may be right, it's just me looking at that. But anyway, regardless, it is still the X and the O, and it is the symbol for 1000, which is the name of Helios. Okay, so that's the name of Helios right there. So now let's have a look at Stan Laurel. Now his initials are SL, okay, but we're not going to use both of his initials because the cryptography there is slightly different. We've already got the Laurel, and we know that the Laurel is an X, so let's just put an X there. So already we've found EO, 10, EO is the name of Halios, yeah, in Laurel. Okay, now the Stan, let's just take the initial, okay, and just pop it there. Now, you might think, well, what's going on here? Well, let's just take a look, for instance, at the pop band that was called In XS, yeah? You've got to be a pagan stroke Mason to get into the mainstream media, and the name of Halios Apollyon is on everything. And the same applies here. Laurel is the X and there's the S. You just switch it round. There it is, XS. What that is a 10. So that actually says this. It says Eos. And Eos in Greek means sun. So Oliver Hardy's initials are XO, yeah, which is the X inside the 0, which is Helios. And Stan Laurel, Laurel, that's the X. We know that's the X now. And the S, XS, like the band In Excess, in Eos, in the sun, yeah, Eos. There it is again, the name of Halios, from the rulers of the world to the clowns of the world. But these two guys here were clowning us. We weren't clowning them. We all laughed at their antics, but of course you were too busy laughing at their antics to realise that what they were doing was worshipping Halios, the beast from the pit. And as far as the rulers are concerned, you were too busy looking at the grandeur and being in awe of them, you know, people from the past, rather than looking at the symbols and signs they were using and wondering what the hell do these things mean. And of course, no more so than the laurel, which is simply a symbolic placing of the mark of the beast on the forehead, just reversed, confuses everything, just like that, and you don't perceive it. Well, let's just say our very happy rather than sad goodbyes to the secrets of the pagan Masonic G, the pagan Masonic Laurel, and also the pagan Masonic Laurel and Hardy. Busted, and very much so, and I give all glory to Jesus Christ.